From director Sean Baker, who gave us The Florida Project and Red Rocket, comes Anora. This is a very rated R film, not what I was expecting. Much better than I was expecting. Basic story, I'm not going to tell you the whole story. Basic story here goes a little something like this. We have a 20-something, young 20s stripper in New York, portrayed by Mikey Madison, who you would probably know from, she had a big moment at the end of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She was in one of the more recent Scream films. She's been in a lot of stuff lately. She is a young lady hustling what she's got to make money, and she comes across in the club this rich young Russian doofus portrayed by Mark, and I don't want to mispronounce this, but I probably will, Mark Edelstein, and he is a young, goofy Russian named Ivan who clearly has a lot of money, has a great time in the VIP with her, throws a lot of dough around, and says, "Do you ever work outside the club?" Yes. So what she is, it's called Anora, but the character's name she goes by is Annie. So if I say Annie, that is the stripper. If I say Ivan, that is the young Russian guy. And they're really the primary. There are other characters, but it's really about these two. And he says, "Do you work out of the club?" She says, "Yes." That sort of implicates prostitution, which is what goes on. And they form this relationship of this young guy in this gigantic mansion with everything you could ever want and all the money in the world, flying her to Vegas, doing this, doing that, and basically coming up with an arrangement. It's basically a dirty Pretty Woman. It's basically like a dirty Gen Z Pretty Woman. That's at its core, because it's a stripper with the heart of gold who's really about a good lifestyle, getting herself out of the apartment that she shares with her sister in Queens or wherever she is. And this young guy who just has a lot of money to spend and wants this beautiful American woman who'll do anything with him. And they get along through their mutual love of drinking, drugs, sex, and video games, apparently. And the basic story is that. So I'll keep going with the story, because this is really essentially what every trailer is going to tell you this. So the two of them hit it off. He makes this arrangement with her where he's like, "How about for the next week or 7 days or 8 days or whatever the time period is, I have to go back to Russia, but how about for the next period of time, I pay you to just be my girlfriend and be with me all the time?" And she sets a price. He agrees to it, and it's just a whole lot of rutting going on, and drugs. And eventually they go out to Vegas on a whim. They get married in Vegas on a whim. And the people who are his handlers, the guys that his Russian father pays to keep an eye on him because he's a perpetual mess up, let's say, to keep it clean, they are not thrilled with the fact that he has just married an American exotic dancer and or escort. And that's the majority of the film. So I didn't really know what this film was going to be. When I saw the trailers, I'm just like, oh, look, people who annoying me for 2.5 hours does not sound like fun. And the movie is just about 2.5 hours long. And I went into it figuring, I like to go to the movies. Let's give this a shot. A lot of people I know are excited about this movie. And it really struck me. I didn't necessarily like the people in the movie or what they were doing, but it gets to absurdist comedy at one point. And that's what the movie, for the majority of it, is. There's a little human drama in there with these people's lives, and these lives are trying to escape her, working for a living, working, shaking her money makers, living, and him being, just, I don't know what he has to complain about. It's a guy with all the money in the world who can do whatever he wants and is basically a spoiled adolescent in a slightly older adolescent's body. It's them coming together and finding, he is rarely not inebriated in this film, apparently. He just seems like, I don't get the attraction other than the money on her part, if she really truly does care about him or just sees herself as having found a way out and wants to hold on to that. So the basic conflict in this movie is all of the handlers that are hired by this guy's rich Russian parents, who are trying to get them to get this marriage annulled so that the kid can go back to Russia and that the woman does not seek a claim on the hundreds of millions of dollars that this family and company has. And it becomes this really ridiculous thing where these handlers are just perplexed at this woman who is just this firebrand hellcat who cannot be silenced, cannot be contained, cannot be controlled, and will take anybody out with any. She's not John Wick, take anybody out, but she inflicts damage upon the burly men who are there to just get her to calm down. And it's this struggle of, will these people get their way and annul this marriage and separate these two, or will these two really weird lovebirds I don't know if it's really love. I think he says that Ivan says he's looking to get a green card, and he's certainly liking the action and the time spent with her, and she's certainly enjoying all the things around them. But it becomes. You ever see Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler? That's a movie that ratchets up a certain level of tension and anxiety and just maintains it, and then every once in a while clicks it up a little. This movie almost gets like this. There is such a long stretch of movie where it's just people yelling and yelling and yelling over each other and trying to say, please just do this one thing, and refusing to do this one thing, and just being chaotic and destructive. But that period of this film is also hilarious to see these tough guys, these thugs, these keepers, just totally perplexed at this woman and the idiot kid. It becomes very hilarious. And I did not expect this movie necessarily to be a comedy. I thought this was going to be like some weird indie drama, and to a tiny degree it is that, but it's also more of a comedy than I expected. Everybody in it is excellent, even if you do not like them. I found the Ivan character to be completely insufferable for the whole film, but that is an actor successfully playing insufferable. I found the Annie character likable to a degree, but also a lot. But then again, that's good acting. So if you can see it in the theater, I would suggest it because it's got a great music score. If you're a fan of nudity, male and female, a lot of it. There's much more nudity, and part of it's set in a strip club, so that's not a shock, but a lot more nudity and sexual content that I've seen in a film for a long time. None of it really like ugly or anything, just like that's what their relationship is based on, and it's an R-rated movie, and it is what it is. So anyway, in theaters now, eventually streaming for the rest of time, Anora.